Hi folks, Vipin here. This video will discuss about call centers. Now, before I proceed, I would like to tell you that I was working in a call center once upon a time, and it's better off that I share how things are in this place rather than you working in one and figuring it out. I don't want you guys to go through that. So let me be honest about whatever I went through and how call centers work. What's the difference between a call center and a BPO? All that's something which we will be discussing in this video. Okay, so let's get started. Are BPOs and call centers different? To an extent, actually. Both are in fact forms of outsourcing. However, BPO is a place where you don't make calls, where, well, at least you don't make as many calls as what a call center would do. Now, for example, in my case, I finished my BBM in 2008, and through campus placements, I was recruited in Infosys BPO Limited. Now, I don't like to tell people that I was working in a BPO or a call center because honestly I feel it brings down the quality of my own quality by saying where I worked. I'm not really in favor of saying where I worked, but nonetheless I've decided to be honest in this video. So I did work in a BPO, Infosys BPO, and what is it that I actually did? Most of the work that you see in a BPO is in fact Control C, Control V. I remember there were around 4 or 5 departments, I think, which was part of a very large team. The large team, of course, was divided into these different departments, and none of the jobs that the people who which they did there was actually something which was adding value to the client. Our client was Deutsche Bank, and whatever job we were doing was so menial and so far down the organization chain. To be very honest, whatever we did didn't really matter. Now the reason I say that is because I remember in one case I had an escalation. An escalation is where the client puts a complaint on you. The client went on to give a complaint saying that because I didn't inform an error, he apparently lost about 6 million Great Britain pounds. Now, if this were to be true, which is of course bullshit, I'm sure I would have made it into the news. Don't you think that would be pretty cool for an Indian channel to cover? Some BBM graduate working in the corner of JP Nagar in Bangalore has suddenly in fact created a loss of 6 million Great Britain pound. Now the loss was only in theory, but it never really happened. We were only told that okay, it could happen, and it could happen if the trader made a mistake from his side. We were not even connected to the trader's systems, so there is no possibility of us actually trying to cause something and eventually create big losses and shut down the company altogether. Most of the jobs in fact were so menial we had to work with pencil and paper. So you can see that whatever a BPO does, although it sounds very glamorous, the kind of work they do is in fact extremely menial. I even remember some of my students who went on to work for Google in Hyderabad. Even Google's operations in India happens to be the BPO one. Google does AdWords outsourcing in India, and when they talk about doing AdWords, all people have to do is post relevant advertisements for the keywords that people put in search engines. The people in India do not work on the core competence of Google. That is their search engine platform, their advertising. They mostly do the really low end work, the entry level work as I would like to call it. So that really doesn't add any grand revenue to the organization. People just do it because they have to. Okay? And then call centers on the other hand either make calls or receive calls. There was a client in Infosys BPO British Telecom Now, British Telecom, according to me, is the equivalent of BSNL in India, but of course for the United Kingdom. Now, just like if you have a BSNL connection, or should I say it as if you unfortunately have a BSNL connection, I'm sure you'd be going through regular interruptions in your service. That is, the telephone would go dead, an error in the bill, some issue or the other you would come across. Now, with all that happening, the same thing a company like British Telecom would go through as well. And some disgruntled customer from UK would make a call to India and the Indian guy would go about sorting it out. So that's a case where they would refer to it as an inbound call center. That is a call coming in from UK to India and you go about sorting out the complaint. The other side is an outbound call center. An outbound call center is a type of call center where you go about making calls. Now this could be for various reasons. It could be that, let's say, you as British Telecom want to take over the customers of Vodafone. So what do you go about doing? You call up the customers of Vodafone and you tell them, hey, how about you go for a new plan which BT is offering? We are reducing the call charges by 30%, free text messages, free data, things like that, and you try to win a customer from Vodafone to BT. That's what you would refer to as an outbound call center, where you as an agent go about making the calls. Okay, and now one more interesting fact about call centers and BPOs. Every day once I finish my day call at job, on my way home, I go past this company called Andromeda. Now the company, as far as I know, is not as cool as the Galaxy Andromeda, but this company happens to be in a gully in KR Road. If you go past the MTR head office, just next to the MTR head office you would see a small building. That's what you would refer to, that's the name of the company, called Andromeda. No matter what time I finish work and go through that place, I always see people come in or come out of that place. And most of the people whom I see there are either BCom or BSc graduates. Now, I've been seeing a board in front of that company, which I think for the last 4 years, since 2010 probably, or even earlier, where they've been saying Andromeda is hiring. Voice processes, contact, walk-in interview, all that. For 4 years, this company has been hiring people non-stop. So you can imagine how many people must be leaving in order for them to keep hiring continuously. A call center has effectively become a factory for people, where in a factory you see raw materials and finished products come in and come out. Here in a call center you see people walk in and walk out. The attrition rate, as they call it, attrition is a word that people use for when people leave an organization. So if the attrition rate is so bad, you can imagine how many people keep leaving a call center so easily, so often. Now, why is it that people leave a call center so often? It's for a variety of reasons. I will get to that in some time. So, what's it like working in one? As someone who worked in a BPO, I can tell you it's nothing like a sitcom. I think there's a sitcom that comes on Comedy Central, which in fact talks about the hilarious life of a call center employee. Now, believe me, that's not so the case. I wish it was. I would have certainly continued to work in one if it was like that, but as you can see, I'm not. Any call center saying that they are the number one employer has less truth than Salman saying that he is a virgin. Fact. How can a call center say that we are the number one employer in whatever field that they're talking about, when you have an employee who leaves the office at say 2 in the morning and reaches his home at say 2:30 or probably 3 after dropping all the other employees in the cab? Now, no sane human being or rational human being would like to go home at 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning. It's bloody insane. On the other hand, I remember in Infosys BPO, there was a particular team, I don't remember their name, they used to come in at 9:30 p.m. 9:30 p.m. and go the next day at around 6:30, 7 a.m. Now, it is impossible for me to accept if you say that this company where you have people who are logging in at 9:30 p.m. or leaving the office at say 2 a.m., these employees are actually happy doing that. Now if they are, they certainly require medical attention, but I'm sure it's not so the case. No call center or no BPO can say that our employees are happy, because if you're working in shifts like this, which is unusually awkward for the human body, it's really not so the case where you can say that we are the number one employees. It's wrong to say that. Okay, I don't know who does these studies, how do they do these studies, but I regularly see call centers come out with information saying some survey done by some person has in fact voted them as the number one employer. So I honestly don't believe in that garbage. So it's routine work. How routine is this work? Now I can tell you the work that I did in 2008 all the way till 2010 in 2014. It's so well memorized in my head. We would get emails saying that different reconciliation reports have been prepared around 6 a.m. London time, I think. For us it would be close to noon. And once that would happen, we would go to a business objects application and download these different reports. These reports would come out in Excel. We would transfer them to a particular template, and then all we had to do was inform the particular trader whether he has to add additional trades or whether he needs to remove additional trades, and that's pretty much it. And we had to follow up on him on whether he's added or deleted. This is what my job was. And I can even tell you the different types of reports that we would get. Summit, Condor, Bloomberg, and there were three more. I'm sorry I forgot the others, but I still remember this. And I was working on the Summit reconciliation, which for many back then was considered to be the taboo of all the other reconciliations. So this is how routine it was. I even remember something that I did around 4 years ago. So it wasn't really something which you require to do with a strong qualification. Believe me, the jobs which I did in Infosys BPO doesn't require any great qualification at all. I even remember people who have done their MBA were doing the same job as me. You don't need an MBA to do these jobs. You don't even need a graduation to do these jobs. If you're comfortable with working in MS Excel, well, even if you're not, you could probably be trained in about say a month, and you could be perfectly fine in working on MS Excel, and you could just start off. Like I said, you don't even need a qualification to do this work. And then the routineness is in fact so bad, many people are so used to it they get into their comfort zone. The comfort zone is something which I always hated. This is one of the reasons why you never see BPOs come out with any innovation whatsoever. I cannot think of a single innovation which Infosys BPO has done. I cannot think of a single innovation which Google in India has done, or even Facebook for that matter. The reason being, people are so far in their comfort zone, their brain tells them, what's the point in doing anything more? It doesn't really work out anyway. Let's sit back and continue this work where we get easy money for. That's one of the things when it comes to working in a call center or even in a BPO. I've heard enough rumors. I don't know if this is true or not. Hence, of course, I call it as a rumor. One of my friends, Satya, was working in an Infosys BPO with a Infosys BPO client. SunTrust, I think the name of the client was. This was a outbound call center. He had to call people and tell them to make payments for the home loan that they have taken. And in fact, it was so bad, he wasn't allowed to go for a break whenever he felt like. He was given a 1-hour break in a day, and that 1-hour break was possible only during certain time slots. Say he could go for a lunch break at 1 o'clock to 1:30. Then his friend could go to a lunch break at say 1:30 to 2 o'clock. The remaining half an hour break that he would get can be utilized only once. 15-minute restroom break, you could call it, and another 15-minute smoke break in case you are a fan of vitamin C. So this is how the system was. I honestly can't imagine a system where they tell you to live this robot life, wherein you can go and pee only from 1 o'clock to 1:15, and then you can have a lunch. Then you can have your lunch only from 2 o'clock to 2:30. It's really, really difficult for a human being to work like a robot like this. We are not programmable. I mean, there are cases where people have been programmed to routinely work like this, but I'm strongly against this. It's really, really inhuman for me to even imagine something like you can go for break at only particular times. So that's how ridiculously routine a call center can get. Now, many people would say, uh, what's the good thing when it comes to call center? Is there any advantage whatsoever? Well, not really from the long term point of view, but I can tell you this. If you want to work in a call center, work if you are saving up to do your MBA. And that's what I did. For the 2 years that I worked in Infosys, I think I saved around close to 50,000 rupees. And with that, I was able to use it for my MBA. My MBA cost me roughly around 40,000, I think. So distance education, it's always low cost. So that's what I did with my savings, and that's what I did by working in a call center in a BPO. I saved money for a few days and eventually used it for my MBA. Some who don't like to utilize their savings, there are some BPO organizations that offer MBA through your working hours as well. Some of these courses are actually pretty good. So if you want to be part of them, go ahead and do it. Take up an MBA course as you're working in the call center, as you're working in the BPO, and once your course is done, don't think twice, just leave. The last thing, do not consider it as a career. Why not? Because what do you think is the long-term result of you taking calls or receiving calls? What would you put on your resume? What would you tell your peers? Would you go about saying, today I made a call, I had so much fun? Can you imagine how boring it is? It's really not a career for most people. There are a few who are so far in their comfort zone that don't mind this as a career, but I honestly advise you all, don't look at it as a career. Do it for about a year, maybe two, and then quit and see where you actually stand. I know call centers sound really attractive because there was a time where they were giving very, very excellent salaries. So don't go for the money factor, look at it from a career point of view. I honestly can't imagine even telling my kids in the future that I worked in a BPO and this is what I did. I would honestly feel very, very embarrassed by telling them what I did. I hope you liked this video. Thank you for your time and have a nice day.